Hi guys, thanks for joining today. I just wanted to run through a very quick Momentum 101 for the guys who are coming to the CRT next week. This is to basically give you guys a ground level understanding of what Momentum does and the features it has ahead of our session, so we can really focus on what's coming up or what's in the future and what we're going to build in based on your feedback. I know that some of these features and things I'm going to discuss today might not be enabled on your personal accounts. They might not be enabled on your organizational accounts for other team members or people in your company. But hey, that's what this is about, is working out what you guys are using, what you're not using, what you could be using, and what the potential benefits for you guys are, because they're all there, ready to go. So let's dive into it. First things first, here's the homepage of the Seeing Machines units. You guys are all big Seeing Machines customers of ConnectSource, so I thought it was best to start there. It makes the most sense for you guys. Just as a side note, the whole purpose of Momentum is to be a data aggregation platform. So that's where we can bring in your additional data sets from telemetry devices, HR systems, maintenance records, temperatures on ambient temperatures of environments or inside vehicles, tire pressure monitoring, all kinds of things, and put it all in one place for you guys so you can have a central source of truth. So anyway, this is the Seeing Machines page. As you can see, there's a time slice here, so you can pick and see what you want the data to filter for on the page below. There's any kind of custom options in here. You can pick date ranges, or you can pick one of these handy preset determined ranges here. There's a map that updates every live heartbeat we get from your vehicle and updates the position of your truck. Usually there's sort of a 6 to 8 minute cadence between heartbeats through Seeing Machines. So every 6 to 8 minutes, this will update with a live location if we get one. Then down below here, there's a couple of dials here. So first one's first is confirmed events. That only displays the events where the monitoring center, so the event happens on the vehicle, gets sent to the cloud, to the monitoring center. The monitoring center, there's a human there that will sit there and review your video. They'll then decide whether, yes, it's true, it was a fatigue or a distraction or a field of view event, or it'll be a false positive where the algorithm has picked something up, but it's not really in the real world, fatigue or distraction. That will then get reported through to us. And that's where we display it here. So this basically filters out all of the noise for you guys. So you can click on one of these and it will change the table below. There's review status here and operating status. And now while I'm in the ConnectSource dummy account, there's some stuff in there which obviously doesn't make too much sense. There's a lot of demo boxes down here. So they will never have communications connected all the time. They need priority, of course, because if they were a live truck, the person driving wouldn't be protected. So we can ignore those here, but that basically gives you a quick health check of your fleet. And then here is where it shows you any of the issues that are arising from your fleet over the components that we get the data for. And we've actually mapped that against the Seeing Machines warranty process. So if your unit is in warranty and it's deemed to be a fault of the part, you guys will be able to claim warranty on that. It gives you a good sense check of what actually is a fault and what is something that's just a bit of a blip that used to appear. They've all got individual thresholds. I think usually the most common one is over the last 40 operating hours or 7 days, that fault has been prevalent more than 35% of the time in the heartbeats we've received. So it's actually a fault. It's not just something intermittently flashing up. So let's go on here and we'll pick distraction from this table. This will then filter the charts below and will give us then the option of which vehicle we want to pick down here. I'm going to pick on Zerk. Poor old Zerk, I always pick on him. And we'll load up here and we'll see exactly what's been going on with Zerk's vehicle at the moment. You can see here, this will always display the most recent event up here. So you can see the most recent event for Zerk was distraction on the 9th of May. And then below here, there's some big blue buttons up here you can click, which will filter the table below. But this at the moment, I've got selected all events. And remember, again, the time slice, I'm on all time still. So here you can see overall the time Zerk has had, or whoever drove Zerk's car before him, has had a lot of events ticking down here, and there's 423 events. This also includes non-confirmed events, so what we call normal driving. So something has been picked up on the vehicle as a fatigue event or a distraction event, for example. It's gone to the monitoring center, and they've said, no, it's not an event, it's just in fact normal driving. If you want to see only the events which have been deemed to be confirmed, you can select them from the top here. So for example, we'll pick distraction. That will filter down this list. Now all of a sudden there's only 13 stretching back to 2019. So we're only really looking at distracted, and then simply clicking on any of these rows will open up the box below, portray the video. You can watch it there, you can play it. There's options here where you can change picture-in-picture or playback speed. You can see the statistics here around the event, and you can watch any event you want back basically. The other things interesting on this page, there's a faults page. So if Circuit had faults in his vehicle across that time range that you picked up the top there, it will display here in the faults page in a graph. It will also show forms. So ConnectSource don't use their own internal forms for the installations on their vehicles. They'll use them on your vehicles. So if you've had your vehicles installed by the ConnectSource guys, they would have done a form. It will appear here under the form section, and then tickets. So tickets is actually integrated with this ConnectSource Zendesk instance. So if you jump in here and you create a ticket, you can click on this button here, and it will pop up a box. The asset's already selected because you're already on an asset page, and you can type anything you want in here. So you can say my GPS, and you can say isn't working, for example. You can hit save. That will then get pushed straight to the Zendesk instance of ConnectSource, and then they'll be able to follow up with a ticket. We'll push a request to you guys, then have a chat and see when's a good time to come out and have a look at your machine for you. That's kind of cool because you don't need to have Zendesk to talk to them directly, and then I'll show you later on the tickets page. You'll be able to review all of your tickets in one place. In here will only be the tickets for this asset specific thing. All right, now I've got alerts. Alerts is another function that might not be enabled on your account. That's pretty common. So if you jump in here into the alerts page, you can sit up here and click configure alerts. And so configure alerts will then allow you to add an alert. So if you click add an alert, there's a whole bunch of different alert types that you can pick from here. Currently, we can send out via email to any number of recipients when any of these things are triggered. There's also the option of doing a text message as well. If you want to do text message alerts, then there's a small fee per text message that basically we pay straight to the gateway. It's fractions of a cent per text message, but these days with coverage and mobile phones and even being on mine sites and things like that where there's sketchy phone coverage, email is usually the better option. So you can pick when any time a fault happens, for example, anytime an asset speed goes over or under a certain threshold. For those ones, we'd recommend using telemetry devices, not seeing machines for asset speed, because the GPS is not a reliable way of dictating or judging what speed an asset is traveling. Volume over or under, there's a daily report for needing attention for ConnectSource for their seeing machine stuff that you can set up for yourselves. There's a data point value, so that could be anything. That could be when the temperature exceeds 45 degrees in this region, send me an email to the foreman to tell everyone to go home from work because it's too hot. It could be the fact that when your tire pressure monitoring sensor, when your TKPH is over a certain amount, you want to know so you can pull that truck to a slower run on the mine so that you pull off the road for a bit to cool down the tires. Could be any data point we capture from any of your systems. You can just set a threshold and just be notified whenever that is exceeded or goes below. Event type is basically you can pick any time a fatigue event happens, any time a distraction event happens. If you've got a telemetry device, it could be any time an overspeed or a harsh braking happens. Send me an email. Fuel level summary is mainly for fixed assets or mobile assets, more so things like lighting towers or generators or bits of plant that we track for other people. You can see a nice quick summary. It's an email, and you get basically a list of all your assets and what their fuel level is at that time and the date and time when that was taken. That just helps you identify which ones need to be topped up before night shift or which ones need to be topped up if they're remote. And then we have a bunch of geofence entry and exit stuff here. We do our own geofencing inside the system in case the system that you guys are using doesn't do geofencing, or you want to combine those results into one. Okay. Next, we've got the drivers. So drivers traditionally come from telemetry providers. So some people have a keypad where they log in with a number. They might have a key fob where they scan it and it beeps them on, and they know that Aaron is driving car number 3 today, and then tomorrow Aaron is driving car number 6. That helps us identify over time Aaron and his fatigue problems or his distraction problems or his driving behaviors. So you can start to actually track it by person instead of just the vehicle, because at the moment it just is tied back to truck number 3's events or truck number 4's events. If you guys have got a 1-to-1 ratio or it's someone's car, this is very easy. You can use the export-import function to get an Excel template and upload it so you have all your drivers. Or you can click add driver and simply just add a single driver. And then once they're in there, you can assign the drivers. So I can say, this Hyundai Kona, I could pick any driver from the list, assign it to them, and then it will know and it will tag every single thing that happens with that vehicle, their forwards, with that driver. Really helpful for scorecarding and benchmarking, which I'm sure we'll talk about at the CRT in person. Event analysis is an old dashboard that we built probably 3 years ago now to help understand the difference between what events were verified as and what they were detected as. We're going to replace this with a new dashboard that we're building currently inside the dashboarding system we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, that's an interesting page for you guys to be able to jump in there. You can also handle the export. So whatever time slice you pick up here, you can export all of your Seeing Machines events and all the data across it in there, which is quite handy for if you want to do some Excel analysis. GMD, this is basically the lifeblood or the heartbeat of your Seeing Machines units. In here, you can add anything from who the authorized personnel are to use it, to your fatigue intervention plan, to your config settings. You can change config settings. And what this does is it automatically pushes the ticket and the request off to the required party. So here you can see that Connect Source is blue and Seeing Machines is yellow. Anything that goes through to blue, which is Connect Source, they can action for you and update live. Anything that needs to go to Seeing Machines to be updated will automatically be sent to them. It'll be in yellow and they'll action it from their end for you and make the change requested. So you don't need to call people or talk to people or anything. It just, you make the change in here and there's a request that pops up and it's underway. There's also an SLA table in here to help give you guys some guidance on expected timelines and things, how long things should take. So for example, if you want to make a fatigue intervention plan change, you would look on this little matrix here and go, right, so that's a high priority request. I should get an answer and that be resolved within 24 hours. So that gives you a nice guideline on how long you should wait for things to be done before you start asking questions. Cool. Tickets. So I'll skip dashboards. We'll go back to that in a second. I'll show you some examples of ones that some of our customers are using. Tickets, so that's just a repository of all of your tickets across your account. So any ticket that you lodge inside the asset will appear here. If you want to just lodge a general ticket, this might be, you pick an asset from the list, doesn't really matter, or you can leave it blank. And then you can say in here, maybe you want to add some more units. So I want to get a quote for 3 more SM units, something like that. And then you put a message in there. That will go through then automatically to the Connect Source Zendesk instance as well, and then they'll action it from there and for you. User management down here. So if you're deemed to be a super user within your company, you can jump in here and you can create new users here. So you can create them in your company without having to come and talk to the guys at Connect Source or Single Source. Very handy if you have a lot of personnel changeover, if you have a big organization and you have sort of systems admin staff that can maintain this for you guys. Forms. This is just a repository of all the forms that have been done for your company. Again, there's a time slice here, so you can melt it down or get as narrow or as wide as you want on your search. This will basically contain any of your install forms, your service call forms, removal forms if you've done any of those on any of your vehicles, and you'll be able to go back and look at the history of what's happened. Assets is just a feature we're playing with currently where you can jump between different assets and pages quickly without having to go backwards and forwards all the time. And switch client is a button that you guys won't have because that allows me to jump between different people's accounts.